Today, we're diving into something that can literally transform a pretty good idea into an absolutely great one. We're talking about feedback. It's that crucial bridge between a thought you have in the shower and something that actually makes a difference in the real world. So let's get right into it.
You know that feeling, right? You get this flash of genius, that aha moment, and you're so excited. But then it just kind of fizzles out. You might think, oh, the idea wasn't good enough. But what if the problem wasn't the idea at all? What if it was the process?
And that's really the heart of what we're talking about today. We have this myth that amazing ideas just strike like lightning, fully formed and perfect. But that's not how it works. The reality is, great ideas are more like buildings. They start as a rough sketch, and then they're built, tweaked, and strengthened piece by piece, usually with a lot of help.
Okay, so first things first, let's just bust this myth wide open. The myth of the perfect idea that just pops into your head. Believing in that is actually kind of dangerous, because it puts all this pressure on you to get it exactly right from the get-go. And that pressure can stop a brilliant concept before it even gets a chance to breathe.
And I bet these challenges look pretty familiar. You've got that fear of criticism, hearing your baby has flaws, or the sting you feel when feedback feels like a personal attack. And then there's just being way too close to your own idea, working in a vacuum where you can't see the obvious problems. These are the walls that can keep a good idea from ever becoming great.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Think about it. Any successful project, whether it's a new company or a community garden, it's all about collaboration. Asking for help isn't a weakness. It's actually the secret ingredient to building something that lasts. So, how do we do that well?
Well, that brings us to the tool that makes it all happen: feedback. And I know, that word can sound a little intimidating, but let's try to reframe it. Don't think of feedback as criticism. Think of it as your idea's best friend. The one who's honest with you because they want to see you succeed.
So, what is peer feedback, really? It's actually super simple. It's just getting ideas, opinions, and helpful comments from other people, your peers, your colleagues, your friends, all with the same goal: making the idea better. It's a team effort, not a final judgment.
And seriously, when you really embrace it, it's like a superpower. All of a sudden, you're not just seeing your idea through your own eyes. You get all these new perspectives, and you start spotting weaknesses you totally missed. Your idea gets sharper, stronger, and hey, as a bonus, you get better at explaining your ideas and become more confident. It's a total win-win.
Okay, so we get why it's important, but how do we actually do it? Giving and receiving feedback is a real skill, and like any skill, there are some basic rules of engagement to make sure it's actually helpful and, not just a mess.
The absolute best feedback always has these 4 things going for it. 1, it's clear and specific so you know exactly what to work on. 2, it's constructive. It's about building up, not just pointing out what's wrong. 3, it's got to be respectful. And finally, it has to be honest. Sugarcoating things doesn't really help anyone in the long run.
Let's look at a quick example. This idea is bad. What do you even do with that? It's a dead end. But look at the strong feedback. This idea is interesting, but it points out a specific problem, the cost, and even suggests a possible solution. See the difference? One is a judgment, the other is a genuine help.
And remember, this whole thing is a two-way street. When you're the one giving feedback, your job is to focus on the idea, not the person. Be their guide. But when you're on the receiving end, your number one job is to just listen. Like, really listen. Stay curious, ask questions to understand more, and try your best not to get defensive.
So if there's one thought to really hold on to, it's this: feedback is a gift. It's a tool to help you build something amazing. It's not an attack on you, it's a contribution to your awesome idea. And that mindset changes everything.
All right, enough theory. Let's see what this looks like in the real world. How do you take all of those notes and suggestions and actually turn them into fuel to make your idea soar?
Let's use an example. Imagine someone comes up with an idea for a new educational app, maybe inspired by an organization like the Flying Wings Online School. It's a good idea for sure, but it's just a starting point.
So, the process for refining that idea follows a pretty clear path. First, you share your initial concept. Then, you listen and gather all the feedback. After that, you sit down and figure out what's working and what's not. Then, you make changes. And, this part's super important, you test the new, improved version again. It's this awesome cycle of improvement.
Okay, now this is where the magic happens. Look at this transformation. The original idea was, fine, a free learning app for all students. It's kind of broad.
But after getting feedback, look what it becomes. A mobile app for girls in rural areas with limited internet, including offline lessons. Whoa! It went from a generic concept to a super targeted, powerful solution.
And you see why the new version is just so much better, right? It's specific. It solves a real problem for a real group of people. It's focused and it's practical. It even thinks about the challenge of limited internet. That's the kind of game-changing detail that only comes from good, honest feedback.
So, as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with a super simple, practical tool you can start using like today to give and get really high-quality feedback. It's called the Start, Stop, Continue framework. And it's brilliant because it's so easy to remember. It forces feedback to be constructive. You have to say what you think should be added, what should maybe be removed, and, importantly, what's already working really well and should be kept.
Let's apply it to our app example. The feedback is suddenly crystal clear. Start adding an offline mode. Stop trying to make it for absolutely everyone. Continue focusing on that core mission of education access. See how that gives the creator a clear roadmap? It's so actionable.
So, let's just quickly recap what we've talked about. Feedback is your friend. It's what helps ideas grow. Good feedback is always clear, respectful, and actually useful. Remember that listening is half the battle. And most of all, let go of the idea that you have to be perfect from the start. Greatness is built over time.
And that leaves me with one last question for you. Think about an idea you're working on right now, big or small. What's one thing you could do today to get some feedback and help that idea start its journey from good to great?